Would mathematics exist if people didn't? Since ancient times, mankind has hotly debated whether mathematics was discovered or invented. Did we create mathematical concept to help us understand the universe around us, or is math the native language of universe itself, existing whether we find the truths or not? Are numbers, polygons, and equations truly real or merely representations of some theoretical idea? The independent reality of math has some ancient advocates. The Pythagoreans of the 5th century Greece believed numbers were living entities and universal principles. They call the number one the monad, the generation of all other numbers and the source of all creation. Numbers were active agents in nature. Plato argued that mathematical concepts were concrete and as real as the universe itself, re- regardless of our knowledge about them. Euclid, the father of geometry, believed nature itself was the physical manifestation of mathematical laws. Others argue that while numbers may or may not exist physically, mathematical statements definitely don't. Their truth values were based on rules that humans created. Mathematics is thus an invented logic exercise with no existence outside of mankind's conscious thought, a language of abstract relationships based on patterns discerned by minds built to use those pa- patterns to invent useful by artificial order from natural chaos. One proponent of this idea was Leopold, a professor of mathematics in 19th century Germany. His belief is summed up in his very famous statement: God created the natural numbers, all else is the work of man. During uh, David Hilbert's lifetime, there there was a push to establish mathematics as a logical construct. Hilbert attempted to axiomatize all mathematics, as Euclid Euclid had done with his geometry. He and others who had attempted this saw mathematics as a deeply philosophical game, but a game nonetheless. Henry Poincare, one of the fathers of non-Euclidean geometry, believed that the existence of non-Euclidean uh, geometry dealing with the non-flat surfaces of hyperbolic and elliptical curvatures proved that Euclidean geometry, the long-standing geometry of flat surfaces, was not a universal truth, but rather one outcome of using one particular set of game rules. But in 1960, the Nobel physicist laureate Eugene Wigner coined the phrase the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics, pushing strongly for the idea that math- mathematics is real and discovered by people. Wigner pointed out that many mathematical theories developed in a vacuum, often with no views towards disturbing any physical phenomena. For instance, the number theory of British mathematician Gottfried Hardy, who had boasted that none of his work would ever be found useful in describing any phenomena in the real world, helped establish cryptography. And another piece of his purely theoretical work, became known as the Hardy-Weinberg law in in genetics, and he won a Nobel Prize. And Fibonacci stumbled upon his famous number sequence while looking at the growth of an idealized rabbit population. So mankind later found the sequence everywhere in nature, from sunflower seeds and flower petal arrangements to the structure of a pineapple. Or there's the non-Euclidean work of Bernhard Riemann in the 1850s, which Einstein used in the model for general relativity a century later. Here's an even bigger jump. Mathematical knot theory, first developed around 1771 to describe the geometry of position, was used in the late 20th century to explain how DNA unravels itself during the replication process. It may even provide key explanations for the string theory too. Some of the most influential mathematicians and scientists uh, of all human history chimed in on the issue as well, often in surprising ways. So, is mathematics an invention or a discovery? Artificial construct or a universal truth? Human product or natural? Is it divine or creation? These questions are so deep, the debate often becomes spiritual in nature. The answer might depend on the specific concept being looked at, but it can also feel like a distorted Zen con. If there's a number of trees in a forest, but no one's there to count them, does the numbers exist? Thank you.